What's up, everybody? Are you ready for the League of Draven? It's finally time for me to show you guys a guide on how to play him, as well as my impressions on how he actually stands up in the league at the moment. So first off, you'll notice that his early game is actually pretty strong. I decided to play him in the top lane for a lot of the games that I recorded here, and the reason for that is because, well, one, I am actually not that great in the bottom lane, and two, I always like to test out champions in roles that they are not normally going to be played in to see if they can break out of the standard meta. And in my experience of playing Draven, he actually did a really good job in the top lane, especially since a lot of people do play bruisers in the top lane for the most part. So he did a really good job of keeping them from getting the optimal farm that they normally would have been able to do, while also having enough utility to keep himself safe in gank situations and when he got jumped on top of himself. So I'll be able to show you some clips of that as well. He's got a really great chase and disengage with some of his abilities, so I'll be going over those. He can be really aggressive even as early as level 2, but best more around the level 3 or 4 area once you have all of your skills spin up and you got an extra point into your spitting blade. So let's talk about spitting blade right away. He's got this ability that it's really attractive to use. It gives you a lot of extra damage, and it's not the highest amount of mana, especially considering the fact that if you do catch the spitting blade, it gets refreshed and you don't have to cast any mana to throw it again. It just continues to throw out on your auto attacks. Now, this is not an auto attack refresh similar to Sivir. It's literally you just cast it and then your next auto attack will throw out that spinning blade. So the way it works is you're going to be throwing out it's going to be coming back in a semi-random position if you're standing still attacking creeps, but not too far from where you stand, so you should be able to go and catch it as long as you're paying attention. Now, if you're moving, whenever the blade lands, it's actually going to try and come back at a position that is in front of you where you're running. So if you want the blade to go behind you after you throw it, then you can throw it and then immediately start running backwards and it'll head that direction. If you're chasing somebody down and you want it to continue to go in front of you, all you have to do is continue chasing. And for the most part, the blade should land right where you're going to be if you continue chasing at that speed. Now, there are going to be cases where if you're trying to reposition yourself in fights and you throw out that blade and then you move to dodge something, it's going to go in a really random spot and you're not going to be able to catch it, so you're going to lose a little bit of DPS in those situations. But for the most part, it adds a whole lot of extra damage to you. The main thing is that it does refresh your W ability, and that's going to give you the chance to do a lot of extra attack speed. But the thing is that the W does not last very long, so you have to remember to actually constantly spam that whenever you're in a combat situation. So one thing that took me a while to get used to is actually learning how to throw out his Q properly and also spam his W when I'm in the fights while also being in the right position. Draven actually has the same attack range as Sivir, which is 550, so it's a little bit lower than a lot of the other attack carries. So you have that danger of being in the wrong position if you try and go in and engage on people. So while he has a lot of extra damage in comparison to a champion such as, say, Ashe, he's also a lot more dangerous if you get caught in the wrong spot. So you're going to have to really be careful about that. And then finally, he's got his E, which is actually a really amazing spell. This is a really defensive or offensive ability. It will throw out these blades and push them to the left or the right based on where you hit them. And sometimes that can kind of, if you throw it just right, you kind of shove them closer to you or farther away just based on how you do that. And the cool thing about this is that it also has a slow that it will apply to people. So what you can do is you can pop your Q and your W and then go on to engage someone in the lane, and then right as you're about to get in range of them, throw out your Q to kind of shove them to the left or to the right, and that'll slow them and give you the chance to continue chasing them and land a few more auto attacks as they run away. And so he's really good at that engage situations. Draven's ultimate is going to be a complete global, but the cool thing about it is that it'll actually it's a spinning blade that'll shoot out and it'll come backwards and do damage once again, kind of like a Sivir boomerang once you hit an enemy champion, the edge of the map, or if you hit R once again, it'll come back. So pretty cool. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it can pick up some kills if you throw it on somebody who's low HP, and it does add a little bit of extra damage. It's best when you use it in a team fight from, from a safe position, and you hit as many champions as possible with that, and it can come back and do even more damage on its way back. So real quick, I'd like to go ahead and go over my builds, runes, and masteries for Draven. Pretty much the same thing that you would use on any other carry. It's going to be Berserker Greaves, and then into 2 Doran's Blades, and then an Infinity Edge, Phantom Dancer, and after that it kind of depends on what the enemy team is looking like. So if they have a lot of armor, go ahead and pick up that last Whisper. If they have just squishies, you can pick up a Bloodthirster, which is going to give you great sustain in fights against them. And if you need some defensive items, go ahead and pick up a GA, or if they have a lot of CC that you need to make sure you can get out of, then you can go ahead and go for the Quicksilver Sash. My runes for him are also the standard ones I use for any other carry. It's going to be flat AD Quints and Marks, and then flat armor Seals, and magic resist per level Glyphs. For the masteries, I do a 21-8-1 build. That's going to give me all of the damage masteries in the offense tree, a little bit of defense and defense tree, and then that point into flash for the increased cooldown. Overall, I think that the separation of really good Dravens is going to be the ability to keep those spinning blades and his Blood Rush W going in fights while keeping out of danger and having good positioning. So in the bottom lane, he's going to be doing really well with an aggressive support, whereas I think he's going to have a little bit more trouble against those really long-range laners that have really passive supports. And you're just going to have to kind of deal with that by outplaying your opponents with his abilities. And that's kind of the fun thing about him. So he is much higher skill cap than some of the other carries that rely on mostly just, auto attacking. Whereas he, on the other hand, has to worry about catching these blades and spamming his abilities correctly and shoving people in the right direction. And there's a whole lot of different things to actually think about while you're playing him. So I would actually recommend, if you're new to carries or if you're not that great at positioning, Draven actually probably not for you. But if you're looking for a challenge and you're looking for a really, really strong champion with a lot of practice, then I actually think that Draven is going to be very strong. I do feel he's actually balanced. I don't think he's overpowered in any way, but he is extremely powerful in the late game, especially if you are able to keep up and farm, and he does have the ability to get really, really tough once you get a few items on him. But of course, you can say the same thing about other carries. On the other hand, though, I do feel like he's stronger than a lot of other carries in, one-on-one situations once you have at least equal farm and items. Overall, I had a lot of fun playing Draven. Hopefully you had a lot of fun watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button to show your support and subscribe, as I do a lot more videos. Check me out on twitch.tv/KolbyCheese if you want to see me playing live. That's it for now. I'll see you around next time. This is Kolby Cheese. Peace out.
Man, I'm good. Yeah! Woo!